Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
Well, I am Pops, and this is something that you have asked for, right? Me talking comic books with you. Today we're going to talk about Wolverine. This will be my first one. I'll start a new series. I'm going to call it the Good Read, Must Read, Don't Read. We'll pick a character, try to give you 3 examples of something that I think is something good that you can read, also something that you have to read. If you like this character or you like really good comic books, this is something that you have to do. This is like the category for those classics. And then there's kind of like, yeah, you don't need to bother with that. You know, if you were to find it on the cheap or something like that, that's one thing. But let's just be honest, like you don't really need to. So, all right, let's get into some of my thoughts on Wolverine. So, Wolverine came into his first appearance in Incredible Hulk, and then he was added to the giant size X-Men. He has evolved and changed multiple times and was pretty well stable into the 90s. And then it seems like he is definitely one of the characters where they really have kind of bounced around, pinged around, not exactly sure kind of what they want to accomplish. So let me get to the good read, right? The good read is Weapon X, right? I mean, you have to know he's Weapon X, Logan, Weapon X. Now, I also am going to say too, by the way, this is going to have to be my first round with Wolverine. There's literally going to be like a dozen of these because there's no way to do a character that's been around this long with so many stories. I easily can put Weapon X in the must read if you're a diehard category of being an X-Men or Wolverine fan. This is actually, if you see at the top, I'm going to pull it up here. We're going to switch this out so you can see Marvel Comics Presents. This is issue number 72 to 82. Okay. So let me pull up this for you so you can see the issue. This is the first issue in that series. This is Wolverine Marvel Comics Presents 72. This is what the cover looks like, right? Not a cheap comic book. I'm going to give you a way to get this more inexpensive in just a moment. But this lasts for 10 issues or 12 issues. Hang on one second. Let me double check. Oops. Did I not write down the series ends? 84. Yeah, 12 years. Oh, yeah, year. Okay, I thought it was a year. Barry Windsor-Smith, famous artist, famous creator, a great writer. He does the write, he does the art. He takes on this Weapon X backstory of Wolverine, the experimentation, the adamantium, the escape. There are so many things that have been lifted or homage has been paid to, whether it be in the movies, whether it be other comic books. This is where you really start to see it. The image does it justice, right? You literally feel torment and torture and the fire, and you see the transformation of the naked Logan becoming the Wolverine that we all know and love, right? So this is the beginning of that arc. It's from issue 72 to 84. It was a year of comics, 1991, and it is it's truly just a great series. I think you're really going to love it. It's something that is repeated rather regularly. So I will say I didn't put this in my must category, especially for more like, mediocre, kind of fans, because reality is you're going to pick up on all of this. You're going to understand the story. You're going to get all the pieces. The other movies and stuff have kind of done a little bit of that. So I actually found this. This is what I'm going to recommend as a trade paperback grab. You can grab here for you. This is very inexpensive. This is less than $15 on eBay. I found a couple of them for like, $13, $14. You can find them very expensive. So don't get duped, with a bunch of crazy people out there, trying to, sell you an expensive version. You just want to look for a reprint. Marvel Comics Presents 72 to 84. I will be honest, this is something that is such low demand because it's been around for so long. This is something that if you just write this down, you have it on your to-do list, go to your local comic book shops. I got a feeling you probably can grab this. You're going to hit me up and go, Pops, I found this for $5 or $8 or something like that. If you want to pay more, that's fine. Again, hardback versions are available. Paperback versions are available. But this is kind of like one of those really good reads. And if you just want something good to read, it can be for you. So that's my good read. The must read. Well, the must read obviously is right there in the thumbnail. We'll go right back to it. It's on it's just there. I don't know what to tell you guys. On the right, all the way over, Wolverine #1. This is the limited series. So it says a Marvel Comics limited series. #1. It's a 4-part limited series. Frank Miller does the art. Chris Claremont, the famous X-Men writer, does the story. 4 issues. It deals with Wolverine. He spends his time in Japan. You have different conflict, a very grounded story into like real life street crime, street issues, conflict, injury, betrayal. You have a love interest story. And you get sort of like some of the tragedy of who he is. It also has been sort of lifted in homage, have been painted in some of the Wolverine films. I don't think they did it justice. I mean, I know they didn't do it justice, but the effort is there. This is actually a more expensive get, especially issue #1. Look at that iconic cover, right? The blades hanging out like that. Him cooked like so. Issue #1 in particular is the iconic cover. It can really be a pricey book if you're trying to find a first print or original copy that's in great condition or something like that. It is, though, I would say, a fair investment book. This is actually one of the, and I got to be honest, Marvel Comics Presents 72, the one that I had up before, the regular comic in first print, it would also be an investment book too. And when I say an investment book, I mean a 9.8, graded copy. You can get lower grades, but just know that the market is going to be driven off that top grade. So you're almost better off either trying to level up by buying a lower grade at a good price and then selling it, making a little bit more money, buying the next one, so on. If you have to do that route, because both of those could cost you a fair amount of money, that's for sure. They've gotten very expensive in the last couple of years, but I also think that there is no downside to those 2 books. Those are 2 of his key books in his lore. And the story is amazing. You also can find that Wolverine limited series 1 through 4 reprinted multiple times, paperback, hardback. There's been like limited versions where there's only so many copies that'll run you like $100. So it depends on what you want. You want to read it, you want to keep it, you want to invest in it, whatever you want. Those 2 in particular, but definitely the one on the far right, that Claremont Miller thing, it changed everything. It come along in that same era with the Dark Knight Returns and all of that. So you have this sort of reshaping of the comic book genre, this time on the Marvel side. And you get the lore of Wolverine expanded in a very grounded way. It's dark, it's gritty, it's fast, it's very engaging. It is truly a classic. I think it is definitely a must read. Which brings us to the end. Like what am I going to do for a don't read? Well, as I mentioned briefly, that Wolverine came on the scene in a Hulk comic book. Now, I'm going to upset some Wolverine fans, and I know that, but I'm just trying to be honest with you, right? The Wolverine arrives in Incredible Hulk 180, and then his first appearance is really 181 and then 182. 181 is considered the extremely expensive investment book. It's the iconic cover. Well, this is 180. Wolverine arrives in 1 frame. That's what he looks like. The yellow costume, the cheesy head. Some of the dialogue is really not quite worked out yet. He doesn't quite sound like Wolverine. Hulk and Wendigo are fighting. They're throwing punches literally in like panel after panel. And then all of a sudden, Wolverine just shows up. It's like, what? And he's in a couple episodes. It's a very, a couple issues. It is very cheesy. It is very silly. He is not dark and gritty. He is not the Wolverine that you are a big fan of. I cannot recommend with good faith that you should spend the kind of money it would take to get a copy of those issues. I don't think that it's going to deliver the kind of bang for your buck there that you would want. And I will say you probably can find reprints of it. You can find super cheap copies reprinted and other stuff. And that would be a better way for you to at least say you've seen it, read it, whatever, right? Now, if you are wealthy or you really want to try to figure out a bang for your buck investment wise, you track Incredible Hulk 181. You look for a grade that you could afford. You look for it as it is also an investment thing, but you need to make sure you test the market. You make sure you gauge where the market really is, and look for a deal or something like that. But I would not particularly recommend those. I don't think they really bring a lot of value to the character. I mean, other than you just know that's what happened. He shows up, there's some throwdown, he gets knocked down, blah, blah, blah. It's a Hulk book. It's not about him. So, he was introduced, but a year later is when he really gets introduced, because that's when he becomes, he's in Giant Size X-Men. And that's when he becomes part of that. And that's the universe that he really is in and stuff. So this is my first one of these. In the comments, drop to me characters that you'd like me to do, maybe a book that you think would qualify as one of these, a good must or don't. Maybe you have some Wolverine recommendations, because I definitely need to do more. As I was finishing this up with some of my thoughts, I was already thinking of 3 others that would fit into those categories. And I was reading some other comic books, actually a newer comic book, thinking that it was a don't read, and I'm actually kind of liking it. Like, it's actually not that bad. I'm not sure I'm going to say it's good, but it doesn't really qualify as a don't read. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I am Pops. Like I said, I love your thoughts and recommendations. I appreciate all of the feedback, things that you're doing. Thank you again so much. And yeah, this has been Pops. Thank you again.